What an exciting turn of events, the expansion of Wild Earth Kids, and we'll get into that in a little moment. But first of all, that beautiful little bird was a little bee-eater, which is definitely high up there on one of my list of favorites. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon, Senzo is the one bringing you those beautiful images, and we're live from Djuma Private Game Reserve in the greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa, where it is very warm and very sunny because it's winter and I can't see, so I'm going to drive while I talk to you. So, you are watching a live safari. What that means is that you can send through your questions, and you can do that on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or in the comments section of YouTube. But what I really want to talk about is the expansion of the Wild Earth Kids program, and I really do want to talk about it because it is something that is vitally important. Now, for the most part, we get to drive around in these exquisite areas and we get to look at animals, and it's magical. But we do what we feel is our bit towards educating people about them and, really bringing them into the hearts of people that they might care and understand about the wildlife of Africa a little bit better. But obviously, for the future, I hate to say this because it's such a cliche, but it is true. For the future custodians of this planet and of our wildlife, it's really important that we focus efforts towards kids as well. And obviously we've had our school program running for a long period of time now, and it's one of my favorite things to do. First of all, because the kids ask the best questions, they always do, but also because I know that we're actually, hopefully, even if it's just one kid out of a class, we're actually really reaching them in a way that might be meaningful in the future and in their conservation efforts of the future. So that to me is really important, very special. And probably one of the most important things that we do if we look at things like that. Now, we've really wanted for a long time to expand our kids program, and we have done so. And what we're reaching out to is hospitals and libraries and any gathering of children in any particular place where we can actually reach out and speak to these kids and take them on a live safari. Obviously, many of you watch at home with your kids, and we're deeply appreciative of that fact, and we often talk to you. But this is a sort of a more focused approach to this whole thing. So it's something we're very excited about, and we're excited for the future. So hopefully we're going to be getting lots more children on board with us. It's the best way to experience this, short of actually being a safari, which of course not people have the means to do. Zephyr says that kids really do ask the best question, and I've got a really good idea, because Zephyr's absolutely right. How many of you, and many of you have been watching for years, and I'm certain that you've been watching school drives where you've had and heard an amazing question that's been asked. And you know what? I think we should celebrate our Wild Earth Kids path up until this point, and it doesn't have to be in the school drive. It can be any of the children's questions that we have answered. Do you have a favorite question that we've been asked by a child in the past? And I can think of a few from my side. I can't think specifically of names, and I think it's maybe even better that way. I've been asked if zebras lay eggs before. Do zebras lay eggs? Which is an amazing question. It's such a fantastic question because you find yourself going, no, but it would be amazing if they did. It'd be stripy eggs. So if you can send those through on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, maybe it's, maybe you've forgotten the favorite questions that you've heard asked, but I'm sure somewhere one of them. That's right. Kirsten's remembered one, which was, how does that male lion not panic with that ring of fur around its neck? Which is so great. It's really magic. What do we drink? I think was one I got. What do you drink in Africa? What is the remember, Kirsten, you were directing me. Kirsten was directing me. We had one school drive. Do we get snacks? Do we get snacks in Africa? Which is also a fantastic one. We don't, of course. Please send us snacks. Please. No, I'm kidding. We do get snacks. Do you have fast food? Which is actually a fair enough question because we don't have fast food here. Should. totally have a little hot dog van on the corner. Be great. Might ruin the ambience of a safari. Mrs. Lapwing has remembered one that was, what does dirt smell like? It makes me quite sad, actually, because clearly the child has never smelled dirt. Or maybe it just wanted to, or maybe the child just wanted to know if it smelled different here than it does there, which is actually fair enough, probably does. So it's actually not such a silly question. Oh, this is great. I'm actually really enjoying this. I'm so glad I had this amazing brain moment. Jacqueline says her favorite was, do giraffe get hit by aeroplanes? Which is actually quite sad, because yes, sometimes they do. It shouldn't really laugh. Oh my word, what else? Ah yes, yellow. We can look at the duiker while we stay. Good boy. It's going to be gone in about 2 seconds. Oh no, it's not. It's the world's most tolerant duiker. Oh, there have been some great questions. Keep on sending them through, please, in the normal way, because this is a really lovely trip down memory lane for us. I'm trying to think if I've ever received a funny question about a duiker. Nellie says, how many spots does a leopard have? That's Nellie's favorite. That one we get quite a bit. And my favorite answer to that is, I don't know, count them. Only less, harshly. I do think, actually, I did count a leopard spot, or try to count a leopard spots on... A sentence gone awry. Take care. Apparently, one question that was asked on the drive was, which animals eat onions? Which is great. And I can tell you right now, baboons. They steal our onions all the time. Monkeys. Duiker probably would if you gave it one. No, I'm not sure it would, actually. It's ridiculous. There's some great questions. And that's what I love. And sometimes... Michelle says her favorite one is, are lions mean? It's so sweet. And one find, as I think most parents or people with nieces or nephews or friends' kids or whatever the case may be, most of you know that children make you think in such a different way. And you actually start to look at the world with new eyes. It's that innocence to the approach. And, are lions mean? No, but there's a whole conversation to be had around that. And the beauty of accepting nature for the good and the bad side of it, so that lions don't seem mean when they do what comes naturally to them. Like kill a buffalo or kill another cub. And questions like that can actually be really, really eye-opening. Probably wouldn't phrase it like that for a young child, but you know what I mean. This is brilliant. I love it. The celebration of Wild Earth kids and the questions, and I'm not just talking about our specific kids shows either. I really am talking to those of you with children with you. There are some who watch almost every drive if they can, with mum or with dad, and that's really, really special. Please keep your kids watching. If only to give us the amazing questions to talk about later. What other great questions have we had? I don't think. You think you'll never forget them. But you do, which is quite sad. Although one that I was asked today but I never got around to was that elephant dung, did that elephant dung belong to a male or a female? Which I never got around to. I suppose that's actually quite a sensible question for a big pile of dung. Could clearly be a male elephant. Oh, right, I really did misunderstand that question. Good thing I didn't answer it then. Chris says I've misunderstood, and the question was actually whether or not the dung was male or female. Did they think it was an animal? Was it a male or a female? I'm trying to think of a good way to have answered that.
It's all about where the urine falls.
Yes. Oh, Ravinder says that Pradeep once asked Brent if animals know when it's Sunday. Oh, that's incredible. Well done, Pradeep. Do we even know when it's Sunday? We do, but that's only because now we have a TV show on Sunday. Otherwise, we wouldn't know one day of a week from the next. Hosanna did seem to know when it was Sunday. I mean, Pradeep asks a good question because Hosanna did seem to know when it was time for the SABC show. And Tingana actually's got quite a good sense of that as well. I think he secretly likes being on TV because he often makes an appearance. So maybe they do know when it's Sunday. Sometimes they know when it's Sunday and they all disappear. Cute. Thanks, guys. This has been a really lovely trip down memory lane, and I look forward to many more spectacular kids' questions in the future. Anyway, off you go across to David, who I'm sure has memories of his own and funny stories and questions about kids as well.
Well, it's very true, and there's nothing as good as dealing with pretty small young kids. And welcome to another country. I'm sure you know where you are, either by seeing me or by seeing the surrounding. And we had some wonderful show with the kids, and we are in Kenya in the Mara Triangle. My name is David, and I'm coming to Archie. Archie, how are you doing? Exciting. The only one thing I forgot to tell the kids is to tell them to go and tell the parents or the guardians a happy Workers' Day. Not sure what's the difference between Workers' Day and Labor Day, because you have grown here saying Labor Day. So to all of you, a very happy Workers' Day or a very happy Labor Day. And we were very lucky with those kids because at the very end of the show, we were very fortunate to spot two very special birds that we call the secretary birds. Personally, I do not remember the last time I spotted the secretary birds. And yeah, the kids had a chance to see it, and one huge, humongous male elephant on his own in the middle of the savannah. Well, my plans remain the same. I'm sure you can tell who I am. I'm in the Sausage Republic for the obvious reason. I'm counting day 4 or 5, trying to think. And these cats have gone missing in action. For the obvious reason, the grass is quite high. The migration is not around, so they have to keep looking for buffaloes. If I don't see buffaloes, I usually have minimal chances of spotting them. And I'm assuming wherever they could be having Calcic. Let's see if an eagle that you're seeing here is going to land or not. Yes, she has landed. Calcic, you are asking whether children go on safari in the Mara. Yes, kids come on safari in the Mara, and I always recommend anything 6-7 years and above is the right age. Anything below that, there could be a little bit of a pain, bothering the parents. And Calcic, I'll come back to that. But actually, if you look like 12 o'clock, there could be some bird there. Very good. So yeah, Calcic, we see kids, and I'll tell you something interesting, Calcic. The youngest kid I ever saw on safari was 3 months old. Did I say that right? Yes, 3 months old. And this was a couple that had gone safari a couple of years ago. And initially, I wasn't sure whether that's right because Calcic, before the guests come to Africa, will always get the profile, any dietary requirements, age, interest, any anniversary they are celebrating, stuff like that. So when I saw 3 years, I thought something was wrong. It was meant to be 30. And of course, if not 30, there was a 1 missing before that. Well, my eagle has flown away, gone to another tree, and that's the long-crested eagle. And I think my story is more interesting as you watch that eagle there. So anyhow, we thought the travel agent had a mistake and did not give us the right age for the third person. It was a couple and it was, a family of 3. And I am meeting them at the airport in Nairobi, and I'm seeing, with my paging board, some people pointing at me holding a small little toddler. But apparently, yes, that baby was 3 months old. That was the youngest traveler I've ever seen. And for some reasons, they told me they had to travel that particular time. If not, they would not have traveled again. Anyhow, let's go back to that eagle there. And it's a bird of prey. And my guess is she is trying to look for some food and perched on a dead stick branch near the magic nguare bush. And that's the long crested eagle. With the tall grass, I think also they have to go higher. It's going to be very difficult for them to catch or see anything in the grass. The grass is about 2 meters high. That's quite long. And they only have the chance for food by staying in such vantage points. Mice, rats is what they'll be looking for. Any reptiles, be it some skinks or lizards, occasionally snakes, but not more these ones than the snake eagles, locusts, grasshoppers, if they see any. And they're always very patient, and she could be there as long as she'll see something move in the grass, and then she's going to just fly down and either land on it to kill it and eat it there, then fly back to a different area. See, when they fly, they got those white windows on their wings. Very good job, Archie, trying to catch up with her. Of course, if while she was looking, she did not see anything of interest, what do? You just move on. And the eagle having moved on, and I also think I have to move on and start searching for what I promised you I'm searching. And it's the sausages. My guess, I don't think I finished that point I was saying. My guess is most likely they might have made a kill somewhere, and that's where they have been stuck. Shark, you're asking what birds in Kenya are special to me. You'll be surprised by my answer. My most special birds in Kenya are vultures. Yes, vultures, and all species, all types of vultures. Now, hopefully I don't lose my picture or my signal. I'll be driving a small little, what you call a lagger here, for not more than 45 seconds. And hopefully I'm going to remain on your screen. I've done the first 10 seconds. I got another 35 seconds, the 10 seconds, and trying to go up the ladder, going up, and I hope. Very good. I came out winning. Thank you very much. So why the vultures are my favorite birds? Because of the wonderful job they do. I mean, without the vultures here, especially in the African wilderness, here in the Maasai Mara, in Kruger National Park in Juma, it could be a mess. You would imagine all the nukumas, the sausage pride, the river pride, the Ololo lions, all of them, after they finish eating what they eat, it's left to rot. And it could be a disaster because you would imagine all the worms or the maggots that could be left. It could be very stinky, and a lot of diseases would spread to the other animals. But the vultures do that dirty job. They clean all that, and we're left with such a fresh environment, everything just smelling pristine and clear. So vultures are very special birds to me in Kenya, in that particular sense. But when I would talk of my favorite bird, I would say one that I call the lilac-breasted roller. And hopefully I am going to see one. And it's the national bird of Kenya, and why it is very special to me. It is, I would say, the most beautiful bird in Kenya. So hopefully I am going to see one for you. Don't go away, and I'll be happy to show it to you. Well, of course, Jamie said hello to you earlier, myself, and I'm sure another friend of mine called Rusty would like also to say hello to all of you.
Oh, birds. I believe that lilac-breasted roller is definitely one of the most beautiful birds out there. Especially when you just catch it in the right, with that setting sun and the light on it. Oh, the colours just pop. I think it actually might be the most photographed bird. And southern or East Africa. I think I've seen it on nearly every photo album book that is out there, every coffee table book. If you can capture it, especially in flight, taking off, or just sitting on a dead stump, they are beautiful birds. They're just, the colours are just so vibrant. So yes, I definitely think the Lilac-breasted roller is definitely one of the top ones out there. So, actually, just saying that, I haven't actually seen one for a while. They are around, I just haven't seen one. Yeah. Well, to be honest, this afternoon's been quite quiet. We did have an altercation with a couple of dwarf mongoose earlier on the road, just before one of the dams. And there's a few drongos following them. As they go through the brush, the insects were flying out, and the drongos were catching the insects. It's a friendly behavior that they do. But yeah, it was, by the time we got too close, they all saw us and like dispersed different directions. We couldn't show you it, sadly. But I am on the pursuit. I'm just looking for tracks at the moment. There's lots of our vehicle tracks from this morning and other vehicle tracks, and nothing very clear at the moment, but that does not mean that things are not moving around. But it just means if anything does move around, it'll be quite fresh because it'll be on top of the tracks from this morning. But we are going to make a loop around to where we heard the lions calling this morning. We're hoping that they're going to get up and start moving, so we can at least go back into that area, and hopefully they cross into our territory. We always hope. That's all we can do. But I don't know which ones it was. I think it might be the Unkumas. It might be the other boys. Cross spider, sorry. There was a question coming through about trying to find Tingana. Now, if anyone doesn't know, Ghost Rider. I believe it is. Ghost Rider, yes, thank you. I don't know how I missed that. Ghost Rider, I would love to find Tingana. I have got withdrawal symptoms on all leopards, and as most of you know, it is one of my favorite animals to find, no matter which leopard it is. I don't have a favorite yet, but yes, Tingana I would love to see. I'm just trying to think when he was last. He was last seen with the two, with Tandi and Talamba a few days ago in that altercation. But I don't think he's been seen since, but I'm not too sure. Anyone can give me an update about that. So yes, I would love to see Tingana, Talamba, Tandi, any of the T's, any of that family. Right now, any leopard will be amazing. I almost had a chance, when was it, yesterday? Day before yesterday. When did I arrive back?
The day before yesterday?
No, yesterday.
Monday?
Yesterday. I arrived back yesterday. Yes, I arrived back yesterday. That was, sorry. And there we had Tandi walk straight past camp, and I was like trying to bail over chairs, like, oh, let me go run down to the bottom end of the camp to see her walking past. But by the time I got back down there, she had already snuck into the drainage line. I was like, it would have been awesome for the first day back to have her right at camp. It'll be like, wow, okay, don't have to try too hard. But yeah, so far Tingana has not shown himself. But hey, the afternoon is young. We'll see how the evening goes. But yeah, while we do that, let's go over to Jamie and see what she's getting up to.
I completely agree with Rusty. I'm also withdrawal this afternoon. I mean, I've been back for one drive, for goodness sake. I should have seen a leopard by now. I didn't actually see Tandi last night. I heard her kill something outside the house, which sort of counts, but not quite. I'm sure these impala don't share the same enthusiasm, though, for seeing a leopard, and in fact, at the moment, are very cautious about this whole drinking process, which I'm sure we all would be if we had to drink like impala do, facing the risk of crocodiles, and of course, now as we go into the dry season, the risk that predators there's not really anywhere else for them to go and search for water. They are forced around these water holes, and the predators know that. At this sort of time of year, they often spend more time around the waterholes just waiting for something to come and drink. You'll notice that when impala do drink, they very seldom have their heads down for all that long. Oh, shame, that little one chose the wrong place. That mud is very sticky and slippery, and he has made his way out. We have in the past had impala find themselves in a very sticky situation in the mud at this dam as the water levels get low, because of course there's still deep spots where there's still water remaining, but they have to get there, and that becomes harder as the waterline recedes. Marilyn, it is, and look, we run the risk of starting to harp on about it, so I haven't really brought it up, but Marilyn, you're right. This is a very, very sad sight to see the water levels at the sort of position that they're in at this time of year. It's the 1st of May. We really should have a little bit more water than this, because we're not going to get any significant rain in the next few months. Oh, sure, it might drizzle a little bit, but nothing substantial, which means that this is it until October, November, December, whenever the rains decide to arrive at the end of the year, if they decide to arrive. This is it. I'm putting my money on end of May. This is going to be dry if these temperatures continue. It's 31 degrees today, 88 Fahrenheit. That's pretty hot. You saw how dry that elephant dung for that fang deposited was already. So, the evaporation potential is enormous. And this is quite a wide dam, which means that it's shallow in most places, which means it evaporates even faster, because it's got a massive surface area to volume ratio. Already the division between the two deep patches is clear. And Scuba Steve, you're going to have a hard time of things, my friend. Shame. It really is going to be rough. He wasn't here this morning when I came past this dam. I fear there might not be any more room for Snorkel Sarah. He's had to downscale. Hard times for the hippo of Buffelshoek. Sorry, I'm just fiddling with my Game Drive radio. It's making funny sounds at me, but it's very muffled. Oh, there we go. Oh, and it smells. Oof. Just got a proper whiff of it. Stagnant water. Sorry guys, just give me 1 second. Okay. Alright, I'm sorry, I was just listening to an update on Hukumuri. Apparently he was seen on the border, on the boundary of Triple M this morning. But he has gone into Arathusa. Okay, sorry Kirst, what was that? There was a question about water, but I don't know what it was, I'm sorry. I was just listening to that conversation. Now Deborah wants to know, hold on, what's that male doing over there, Sens? I think you can just see his horns. There, that's him. I think he saw something. He gave a little... Difficult at this time of year because the male is a dwarf mongoose as well. The males are on edge looking for other males. Deborah, I'm really sorry. I will eventually get to answering your question about what the animals do when there isn't any water. They struggle. There will be water. There'll be 2 pumped pans, one in front of Voyatella, the other in front of Galago. And there are other areas in the sort of this greater reserve system where there is water. So they can move between water holes, but they do have to cover quite large distances. And it becomes a real struggle for them. So there'll be access to water and they'll have to move about. Some will die. Unfortunately, it's just the way of the dry season. It inevitably takes its toll. What have you seen, mister? Have you seen something like a leopard or no? definitely not. I think he just was worried about other males coming in and sneaking off with his females. A bit early in the season, my friend. So the rut has started, as is inevitable at this time of year, which of course does take its toll on the male impala as well. We're talking about the dryness of this time of year and what it means for all of the animals. Of course, up in the Maasai Mara is a very, very different situation indeed.
Wow, it's quite dry there, but just listen to that for a couple of seconds before I tell you what's happening here. I'm sure you can tell it's the very opposite of what's in Juma. The dryness here in Juma is wetness here in the Mara, and what you can hear is nothing but the rain. For the moment, our rain covers are doing well, and Kirsty in the front of control directing the show. She also says she can hear the rain, but most important, we are very well prepared, and those elephants there are not worried a minute. Now, if you look carefully on the grass, you can see the wind has picked up, and hopefully you see how the wind is blowing. Earlier in the day, to me, the humidity was very high. I thought it was like, almost 80-90%. And I was telling Archie, chances are it's going to rain today. Look at the rain on your screen there, and look at those ellies. For a moment, they have even stopped to eat. And you can see that calf very close to the mother. And I think what the calf is doing is making sure it doesn't get rained on and taking the advantage of the rain to get a bit of milk. That's a very clever calf, isn't it? So, because mom is not busy eating, she is quiet and monitoring the rain. The calf thought, Mom, can I feed? Can I get a bit of milk? I'm not sure the other one is a cousin to the big one there, but of course here is a cow and her calf. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I wish I could throw Jimmy and Rusty a bit of rain, because the last I watched Bofosok Dam and the Cheetah Waterhole, they did not look very healthy. So I wish you could share some of this rain here, because everything is green here, the roads are wet. I'm being very careful when I'm driving. I have to make sure I stay on the M25. I do not get very stuck. And this is just the beginning, I'll tell you, of the long rains. Normally they start in the month of March, but this year they have come a bit late. Almost, I would say mid-April is when they started. And they might go on until maybe end of June or early July. Now, the more it rains, the better for us. The grass gets greener, it gets longer, and that will definitely stimulate the wildebeest to come here quickly. So if there could be a way we would send some rain to Juma, it would be wonderful. Luna, good question. Do the elephants like the rain? I don't think they care very much about the rain, Luna, but I'll tell you what, look at those elephants there carefully. Apart from the one that's having a baby, suckling the baby, the rest of them, Luna, business as usual, feeding. Look at them carefully. They do not seem like anything's happening. They got very thick skins, and I would say very well protected of the rains, and Luna, elephants do not care. The only concerned animals, I would tell you, Luna, would be cats. Lions, cheetahs, leopards do not like the rain very much. You'll see other animals like buffaloes trying to take some shelter. Of course, if the rain will get them off guard, they'll stay where they are. But I've seen big animals like rhinos trying to get shelter when it rains. Not more because they don't like the rain or they fear the rain, but you notice rhinos don't see very well. And when it's raining, look at how it looks out there. It looks pretty misty, I would say, not very clear. And because they don't see very well, rhinos, it even becomes more challenging for them to see. So what they will do, they'll try to get away from the rain and either get some shelter where they can see at least 10 meters or so straight. Ellies, Luna, business as usual. They'll just keep feeding, and you can see that one there. Nothing to worry. Look at, I would say, her carefully. I'm not sure it's a male or female from a distance. He's eating, or she's eating, very green grass. And that's the Taman Mound. And you can see the difference in color of those two grasses there. So the one she's eating, it's very green, meaning that it's very nutritious, lots of vitamins in it, lots of minerals in it, but above all, very soft, comparing it to the red oat grass that is surrounding that Taman Mound. What a good feeling to enjoy the rain and feeling it, falling on the flaps or the covers of the car while watching the ellies. The Mara gets about 1,000 millimeters of rain per year, but once in a while I have thought we have gotten more than that. And this year, I'll not be surprised if you get anything close to 1,500 millimeters of rain. Is this baby still suckling there, Archie? The baby has been left behind a little bit by the mother. And I think there are 2 cows there, now 3, and 2 youngsters. You can see the amount of rain there. Goop, I think your question is what time we get rest of the year? Let me just bring my windshield up here because it doesn't get in the car. Very good. Now, if we go to Crested right, it's I would say March, April, May, June is when we have most rains in Kenya, and we have the short rains October, November towards Christmas. But now these rains will continue getting heavy for the next, I would say, few months. They're getting... Oh, sorry, you asked about Tanzania. Now, Tanzania is much larger country than Kenya. Sorry about that. But let's look at Serengeti, which is very easy to compare with the Mara Triangle where we are. The Serengeti National Park, which is in Tanzania, and the Mara Triangle in Kenya, apparently both of them, they're one and the same ecosystem, and they get the same amounts of rainfall, averagely 1,000 millimeters of rain per year. It's one and the same ecosystem, 2 different conservation areas in 2 different countries. But everything is basically the same. The rains, the vegetation, I would say the weather is more or less the same, the animals are the same. And you can see how heavy the rain is getting here. But these elephants are not stopping to eat. It could be the same case in Tanzania right now. The only difference is in terms of the animals is we have all the migration or the wildebeest in Serengeti National Park before they come here in the next few months. Well, I want to monitor how this rain will get, but in the meantime, we'll take you back to Jamie in Juma, who is driving around.
The rain is going to get harder. When in doubt, in the Maasai Mara at this time of year, rain is probably going to get harder. David has my full sympathies because I know exactly what that feels like. I'll never forget the first day when Tristan came to the Mara. It was, when was it? It was around about this time of year last year. Actually, maybe it was a little bit earlier. It might have been April. Yes, it was. It was April last year. So Tristan and Ali came to the Mara. I'd been there for a while. And Tristan went out on his very first day, his first full day. And he walked in to I was sitting in James's studio, which sort of become my office. He walked in absolutely soaked to the skin. And he was bright red from sunburn from earlier before the rain. And he just looked at me and went, I got marred. And that was pretty much how Mara goes. Either burnt by the sun because you're right at the equator and you're at a high altitude, or you get drenched. I've got a photo of it somewhere. Unfortunately, I don't think it's on my phone, otherwise I'd show you, but it's just Tristan standing there. And for days, actually, Tristan and I were camp bound. There's nothing we could do. We could barely get down the hill. I've never heard that before. Crystal says that where she's from, when it's raining, they say that it rains It's raining like a cow's peeing on a flat rock. What a great description. That's one of the better turns of phrase I've heard. We were talking this morning about where the expression peeling your eyes comes from, because it just sounds so horrendous. Peeing like a cow on a flat rock. No, raining like a cow peeing on a flat rock. It's great. All right, we'll open that up now. We've spoken about kids' questions. Now we need funny expressions. How would you say it's raining? Wherever you happen to be from, have you heard any good phrases? Maybe you've been to visit other countries. Obviously, we all know it's raining cats and dogs, which is actually a bit of a silly expression. I do wonder where that comes from as well. Never rained cats and dogs before. Why cats and dogs? Fishes, I can understand. Sometimes it rains fishes. It happens. Weird little phenomenon. But why cats and dogs? Why not say it's raining polar bears? Guess that sounds more terrifying. It's raining bunny rabbits. It's also a disturbing image somehow. Yet cats and dogs is okay. It's raining men. That's a song though. It's not really an expression. Okay. If you could beat Crystal's is weird expressions for when it's raining hard. We've spoken about this in a way before, because we've spoken about a monkey's wedding. When the sun is shining but it's raining. It's a monkey's wedding, and it's when, what's it? Jakkels tro met wolfse vrou. The Afrikaans expression. Jackal's getting married to Wolf's wife, which also one has to wonder where that came from. Some sort of story. Surely there can't be that many weird expressions for it's raining cats and dogs. Dora lives in the south, and Dora tells us that people say it's dumping buckets when it rains hard. Dumping buckets, I think I've heard, or bucketing. It's bucketing down. Also makes sense to me, because it sounds like, it's people pouring out buckets of water. Makes sense. I just love the fact that somebody observed a cow Andrew's got another one. It's raining so much, even ducks are taking cover. We need a Safari Live themed one. It's raining so much. It's raining. I can't think of one now. My brain's not working fast enough. No, I can't think of one. Since I remember we had the roof down that one time when it was raining really hard, and then the front flap just went plop while we were live. Just in the middle of, while I was talking, just closed us up, and that was it. That was a wrap. It was the end. should have ended there. When we were in the Mara in the beginning, apparently lots of people are saying that for our version, or what we would call a monkey's wedding, apparently is the devil beating his wife, is the expression used. I think I'll stick to monkey's wedding, thanks. Less shades of domestic violence, my goodness. I don't know where that came from either. I don't get that one any more than I get monkey's wedding. Or the jackal marrying the wolf's wife. At least he wasn't beating her. But anyway, when we were in the Mara, in the beginning, our roofs didn't fit. And they used to puddle and then drip through onto the equipment. And we used to be out all night. And we used to have these little plastic jars that we had nuts in, that we ended up with sugar and coffee and stuff for the night. And we used to have to stuff them up onto the frame of the roof to try and hold the roof high enough that the puddles didn't form. And when we ran out of those little jars, we used to use our shoes. Used to use all sorts of things. So I really, really know what David's going through. I really do. Those were the days. Okay, well, I've learned something new. You see, I learned about peeling eyeballs this morning, and now Ina's taught me about raining cats and dogs, which just reinforces my feeling that English expressions are really quite horrible. Well, apparently it's raining cats and dogs comes from India, where it would rain so hard that the dead cats and dogs would wash down the streets. And now that you say that, that actually makes total sense. And in fact, it would make sense even if you were talking about, you know, London many, many years ago, with stray dead cats and dogs washing down the street. That's horrible. Absolutely awful, and I will never ever use that expression again without thinking about the... Oh, that's awful. No. Which is a horrible... There's some really terrible origins of expressions. Right. Now we're getting to Chitwa Dam. We are now on Chitwa. We might disappear for a fraction, hopefully not. But rather than risk it, we're going to pop you across to Rusty, find out where he is and what he's up to.
Well, I am still on the move, believe it or not. It is, the light is absolutely phenomenal. It's going into that golden hour, and everything has got this golden tinge to it. We're just going past a herd of impala now, and it's just, they blend into the grass. The grass is changing that orangey golden color, and with the light on it, it's actually phenomenal. It's one of the best parts of winter at the moment. It's the changing of all the colors of the leaves, of the grasses. As much as it is very horrible to see, like the lack of food or the food disappearing very quickly, it's just these animals adapt to it very easily, especially impala. Look at that, the colors. They just blend in with the light. Oh, this is a large herd of impala. It's been being controlled by one ram. He's on the other side of the tree there. Oh, that's a defecating impala. So he's on the other side. It is going into the rutting season. It is in the rutting season, I beg your pardon. Every now and again you'll have the tiff of two males going off. The noise is it's crazy for such a beautiful antelope. They have the most guttural sound that could ever come out of an antelope that beautiful. It's often the case where I used to work when they come into the paddocks, and in the evenings they went crazy. The dressage arena it just came alive with impala, and all night you heard the sounds. And of course, if you forget to tell the clients, if you hear these sounds, don't worry, it's just impala. You'll find them coming to breakfast with dark rings under their eyes, saying they couldn't sleep because it sounded like leopards and lions were around the tent all night. And then you just have to very politely point to the impala saying, see those animals there? And that is what makes that noise. The rutting sound of impala, it is something else. There we go. That is the male, and this is his harem of females. One will say he's a very lucky guy. Some might think the opposite, that he has got his hands full. That is a lot. I'm going to guess this herd to be easily 60 individuals. And he is actually circling. He's actually not eating much. He's actually pushing them into a circle. Right now, he's like pushing these ones, and they're not really listening to him. But like the stragglers behind, he's like, come on, you got to catch up to the rest. Lauren, how much do impalas eat a day? That's actually a very quick question. I do not know the exact amount. I'm going to guess maybe... what, 5, 10k, not even that, but wild guess 5 kgs.
I would say so too. Yeah, 5, 8.
Well, they're continuously eating. If anyone does know the exact amount of how much impala eat, I do not know my facts about that. How much impala eat per day? Now, they are mixed feeders, so they both browse and graze throughout the year, and they move more into browsing during the winter period once the grass gets very low. I really do not know how much they eat per day. If anyone has their number, please just send that through. You know the procedure. For those who don't, it's hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Or just on the YouTube chat. Just send those questions in. Or actually the answers for how much do impala eat per day. I really cannot tell you that. And they are continuously eating. I wonder. Let's see. Let me just move up a little bit and see if we can have a closer look on these guys. Sorry. So yeah, anyone has any information about that would be quite interesting. That'll be quite interesting. I mean, they can live in very harsh conditions. So, I'm overthinking it. So yeah, if anyone does have a exact weight number, that would be quite good to know. Interesting to know. But look at that. It's often they get overlooked because they are so common around in this area. But when you get them in such a big herd like this, oh, there he is. He's having a bit of an issue about something. Oh, he's coming across the road. There is a male that's in pursuit of this younger male. Now, this younger male looks like a yearling or just going over a year old, but he's having none of it. If any of them have got horns, they are chased away at this time of the year very quickly. And he is keeping an eye out on every female here. And any male that tries to approach, he will take on. And if the male stands them ground, or if another male wants to take over the herd, then a fight will break out. And it is something to watch. And it's quite interesting because these males, it's not often they get to keep the same herd each year. Like this male will be moved off, will be kicked out. Project Alpha, 1 to 2 kgs per day. That is actually... Wow, thank you very much. Yeah, Project Alpha, 1 to 2 kgs of food per day. I would have thought a lot more than that for the amount of time I've seen them eating. But there are also ruminants, which, they've got that 4 stomachs and they end up regurgitating and chewing their food a bit. So yes, that is quite interesting. Okay, 1 to 2 kgs of food. I'm going to try and remember that and further my studies into how much of that consists of browsing and grazing and what time of the year. This will be interesting to find out. Oh, it's a beautiful sight. Absolutely beautiful sight. They're in immaculate condition for going into winter. And even in the harshest times, they seem to be in pristine conditions. It's only when you start seeing them like losing their fur or getting mange or any other problem, then you know there's something wrong with the balance in the area. It's either you're overpopulated or it's just bad conditions. But all these impala look in prime, pristine condition. Yeah, while we are going to move on, we're going to send you over to Jamie.
Cool. So while Rusty's been chatting about the dietary requirements of an impala, I've been thinking about the dietary requirements of a hippopotamus. And those facts are a little bit more startling, actually. They eat quite a bit less than some of the animals, or some animals of a similar size. They eat less than rhino, and they eat less than elephants, but they do still need a substantial amount of food. And when you think about the number of hippopotamus and the amount of grass that's going to be left in a month or so, it starts to become quite concerning. And there's quite a high population of hippo at Chitwa Dam. It's actually the only remaining hippo population in this area. Sorry, I'm just moving things around in the car. Should have done that first, but I didn't realize that I couldn't see my monitor. If we have a look a little bit further forward, there's two different places where the pods like to spend time. One is there, the one is a bit closer to us. But let's just look at that dead tree there, Sens. The one in the middle of the water. You gave yourself away. Here we go. I've been watching it the whole time we've been sitting here, and it's just been bobbing gently from side to side, backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. I've been trying to work out exactly what was going on, and I think that hippopotamus was just having a great scratch underneath the surface of the water. I wonder whether that tree must have come loose, or it's a bit that's broken off. I don't remember. Was that always there? No, I can't think. I don't think it was. Hippo's laughing at me at the fact that I can't remember. I don't think that was always there. I think that must have broken off one of the other trees and just gradually drifted in that direction. You'd think that we'd know that. The amount of time that we spend here, you'd think by now we'd know. But I really can't remember if it was there or not. I think it's a relatively new addition, but I might be wrong. What's it called? The Mandela effect. When you remember something completely wrong, but you're almost certain that you're right. We also, of course, have this lovely saddle-billed stork who is sitting on its ankles, but it's actually a really weird way to look at things, because it looks completely counterintuitive to the way that you think that a bird's legs should bend, or at least something's legs should bend, because they go in completely the wrong direction to how you think it should. But every single animal is designed in the same way, or at least birds and mammals and reptiles as well. Sorry, Chris derailed my thoughts about the skeletal structure of birds almost completely by saying that she always feels as though a saddle-billed stork looks as though it is a duck bill that swallowed an umbrella. And at first I had absolutely no idea what she was talking about, but now I've just seen it. And it is the weirdest thing I have ever picked up on. That is utterly bizarre. Or a cone. Sort of swallowed a cone, and that's the last bit sticking out there. Kirst, I do wish you hadn't done that to me. really quite disturbing. That's horrible. Never thought about that before. Anyway, I was talking about the skeletal structure. Everything has joints that bend in the same direction. It just so happens that the layout of the bones and the length of the bones is different depending upon the animal that you're talking about. And in this case, the tarsals of the bird are extended. What is the word I'm trying to say? Let's try. I'm losing track of this sentence completely. All of the bones that we would associate with our feet and our ankles are extended in birds, meaning that it's actually resting on its heel, essentially. So that bend is the same as a foot bend, which is a very strange thing to think about. I think I'm right. No, I'm right. I'm not talking nonsense. And then its toes, of course, also extended towards the end of the foot. And it's kind of an even further extension of something like the hoof structure, or even the paw structure of things like leopards and lions and wild dogs. So it's resting very comfortably in the moment on its heels. And I imagine that's quite relaxing, actually, for it. And it's nice to see a saddle-billed stork, because once these water areas dry up, we're going to see very little of them, and generally move towards the rivers. Very peaceful scene. Oh, there's a crocodile right there. that I totally did not see. That's really embarrassing. Dun, dun, dun. There you go, the great reveal. Thanks, Sets. It was a perfect reveal. I did not see that crocodile at all. I've been sitting here for a good 10 minutes. That's ridiculous. Now there we go, even the largest of the reptilian family can be so still as to be unnoticeable. I don't know which one that is. I can't even remember what we called the two big crocodiles of this dam. No idea. But anyway, I've actually just been killing time so that Rusty's had time to get to the surprise that he has in store for you.
Well, it was just a awesome news on the radio. This is Talamba, our leopard, our young female leopard, and she is stalking an impala that's just mere meters away from her. She's crouching as low as she can. Now, the wind is swirling in different directions here, so I don't think the impala's... Check that. Check how low that is. Absolute stealth here. This is where the leopard crawl comes into play. Just getting closer and closer. And Impala is unaware of what's going on. It is? Yeah, copy it, we can. It's just a matter of patience here. Welcome everyone and welcome to Safari Live. My name is Rusty and we have on camera, as we speak, disappearing in the grass just mere meters away from this impala, is Talamba, the young female leopard that we have in the area. Now, we haven't spent much time with her here. We just came around the corner and she's stalking this impala. She's moved about 3 meters in the last 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. She's getting very close to it, and the impala she knows something's up. He knows something's up. Check how it disappears. So close. With so much wind around, it's very difficult for the leopard because the smell carries with the wind. You can just make out the leopard in the grass. Grey bird behind us making an alarm call. Just make out the spots. Right ear. This is what they're designed for, especially at this time of the year where the grass becomes the same color as the patterns of the leopard. We know she's a year and 8 months old, and she has made 2 confirmed kills of an adult male impala. So this young ram is easy prey for her. Still a challenge, but we know she can do it. Deborah, I can't believe it either. The wind is circling quite a bit, but she's very low to the ground. So maybe the scent isn't carried up right, because she's really close to it. I don't think the scent's been carried up. I think that's one of the reasons why they do lie flat on the ground, also for camouflage, but also to keep the smell. Very flat to the ground, very close to the ground. This is a game of patience. Either the impala's going to make the next move or she's got to make the next move. But any mistake now could throw her off the hunt completely. Steve, I agree with you. My legs are actually starting to shake. And I'm trying not to disturb the camera too much. It is very intense moment. But I've got a funny feeling the impala's a lot more tense than we are. She's getting up, she's going to do a circle round. She's going to disappear into the grass there.
Do you see her?
No, she went more to the left. No, zoom in there. There she is, yeah. I've lost sight of her and the impala, so it's quite difficult, and we don't want to disturb the hunt. It's quite thick in here. So this is where we have to wait till she makes a move, either to attack or get the animal, or lose the animal, one of the two. But if we go in any further, we can disturb the hunt. So it's better that we would just wait back and then wait and see in the next 5 minutes what's going to happen. As gory as it sounds, the biggest giveaway is going to be the death bellow of the impala. If that even happens. Camilla, I think everyone's hands are twitching. It's like dead silence here, waiting for the next move.
Do you have a visual of the impala?
I've got nothing now. It's happening in there somewhere. Want to go? Okay. Well, we're going to try and make a move forward and see what happens. Okay. There's 2 other vehicles joining us, so we're going to go around and see if we can pick her up. I don't know. No, painted wolf. Will that impala be too big for her? No, not at all. We know that she's killed 2 large male impala, almost a few more kgs heavier than that young male there. So we know she can do it. It's just a matter of how long or when or how she does it. If she's successful, it'll be great. I'm just watching to see what these vehicles do, because there is that limitations of how much interaction we can do without interfering. But also you don't want to miss it.
Yeah, maybe someone could try to check Tim Dim's throat. No luck this time.
Let's see if he has some luck. But yeah, it's... Yep, it looks like they spot her. Nope. It's just waiting for the vehicles to reposition themselves and let us know where she is. The impala went to the right of us, and the leopard just snuck in through the grass and disappeared. Both animals have disappeared, so we're not too sure what's going to happen. Okay, I'm going to make a move. I think the impala has moved off. So yeah, that was quite intense. It's very, very thick in here. Nope, we're having no luck in finding her. I think she might have sneaked off. I mean, you saw how quickly she blended in the grass here earlier. And it's just a matter of seconds before she disappears. Well, that was very exciting for that brief period we had her, but you know, you never know when it's going to happen. If you got to catch up that live or see that live hunt. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time. Yeah. Well, call her a sneaky one. Well, while we try and relocate her, it's very difficult, especially in this light. I will let you know. But yeah, let's go back to Jamie with the saddlebit stalk.
Okay, good luck, Rusty. I hope that your excitement over seeing a leopard isn't a leopard sighting that is only 4 seconds long. So I really hope that you manage to find her again. I'm sure that you will. I'm pretty certain that Tandy's somewhere around that area. Anyway, we were talking about predators, and of course what we have down below is one of the ultimate. An animal that has remained unchanged for a very long time. Obviously suggests that its design is really, if not flawless, certainly close to it. It might seem very basic, it might seem very primitive, but it's a formula that works phenomenally well. This crocodile at the moment was enjoying the last of the heat from the winter sun, and of course now it's just found itself in the shade. It'll probably stay here for a little bit longer before returning to the relative warmth, actually, of the water, because, of course, the water will retain heat longer than the air does outside. So it's had all day to get warm. It's quite shallow, so it'll probably be nicer there. Have a look at that thickney, or I will forever know them as dikops, even though I know it's now called a thickney. Just a few feet from the crocodile's head. Now, Mr. Zero wants to know where the crocodiles would go if the water were to dry up. Crocodiles can cover enormous distances, and they do. They actually relatively regularly do, which is why we always talk about the fact that if there's ever a water source in the low veld of South Africa, in the bushveld, you really actually don't want to make the assumption that just because there wasn't a crocodile there yesterday, there isn't one today. Now, they do cover enormous distances, so they could potentially walk towards the nearest river systems, and probably from here the nearest would most likely be the Sand River. Maybe the Muddy Lady's dry. I would say probably Sand River would be their best bet. So they could actually do that. They could stroll on all the way down south. But that's obviously quite a long way, and not all of the crocodiles will manage that journey. Some will die. Some will try and hide themselves away. They can, as I'm sure you know, they can actually survive without food for extended periods of time. So if they manage to find themselves a nice shady sheltered spot, they can slow their metabolism down and they can settle in for a while. Obviously it's not sustainable forever. And you can see how they are built completely like armored tanks. It is not an animal that is built to run. It's an animal built for power and ambush speed. And the size of that tail. It's a very solid looking crocodile. I cannot remember what we used to call them. I still can't. I know it was Brent who came up with the names, but haven't a clue. So unlike, well, actually quite similar in a way to Tlalamba, crocodile is going to try and sneak up on its prey underwater using a very small motion of its body and its tail so that it doesn't create ripples and tip the animal off. Slowly, with a great deal of patience, they will approach drinking animals and then, of course, launch themselves using that tail out of the water and grab whatever poor hapless animal hasn't managed to spring up out of their way. Now, this crocodile is big enough to take impala, probably even big enough to take a waterbuck, of which there are many around Chitwa Dam. Once those jaws clamp shut, the chances of survival are very slim for whatever animal happens to find itself in their grips. Miss Adamandris tells me that it was Vlad and Boris, of course. Thank you very much. It was Vlad the Impaler. I remember now. Thank you. Much appreciated. But wasn't one of them a female, given that there were lots of little baby crocodiles around here at one point? Presumably. Oh, actually... Why, Kirst? Why can't you tell me which one was which? That's not very helpful. And presumably a lot of those little baby crocodiles have done what we've just spoken about, which is up and left, and gone off in search of, if not greener pastures, then perhaps fuller waters. Oh dear! There's another vehicle coming past us. I might have to move. They don't have very much space to get past me. I'm approaching at high speed. See if they stop. If they stop, that'd be great. Then I don't have to move. I will have to move at some point. It is starting to cool down. Hippo heads popping up all over the show. Very soon they're going to be thinking about moving out and about. And heading off on their grazing. I wonder if Snorkel Sarah's in here. Perhaps nursing a broken heart. I think that's her over there. L6 wants to know if a hippo will move to Voyatelapan. Yes, there is a very good chance. That's her, don't you think, Sens? Doesn't that look like Snorkel Sarah to you? Yeah, it's Snorkel Sarah. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Kirst. Apparently I'm answering the question wrong because I'm so busy telling you that this is Snorkel Sarah nursing a broken heart over here. You want to know if a crocodile would actually move to the Voyatelapan? Yes, potentially. Not very much space, and honestly not very much to eat, and not very many places to hide. That pan is very, very small, so for a big crocodile it would be visible no matter what it did, no matter how still it stayed, it would be visible, so it couldn't really actually ambush to the best capabilities, to the best of its capabilities. So yes, it's possible, but it's quite unlikely. It is equally possible that a hippo could move in there. I know that's not what you asked, but I'm going to answer that anyway. We have often had hippo spending time in that pan in the dry months. It becomes quite dangerous actually at times, because obviously very, very close to the camps and very weak if the hippo chooses to move in there. It means that it hasn't been able to fight its way to remain in a dam like this one. Oh, little ones with your little noses. It's too cute. Something so terribly sweet about a baby hippo's nose. I am incredibly impressed. Thank you, Noel. Oh, these baby hippos are really cute. Noel tells me that Boris is the female crocodile and that she has a bit of her tail missing. I am astounded that this is something that you managed to figure out. I am really, really impressed. As cute as those baby hippo are, we immediately have to go and look at this crocodile's tail to see whether or not it has any bit missing. That looks like it's missing a bit of its tail, doesn't it? Hey, Boris. What's up, Boris? Unfortunately, the guests are far enough away that they can't hear me calling a crocodile. So that must be Boris. Tired after a long day's crocodiling. Tough being a lady croc. Especially the only lady croc in one giant dam. Sorry, I'm just listening to the game drive radio as well as keeping an ear out for what's going on. So that must be Boris. Well done. I don't know how you figured that out, but I'm tremendously impressed that you did. Presumably it was a collective Safari Live effort that happened while I was away. Oh, hippos are starting to talk. They don't all go quiet just because I did. Oh, we're done. Done talking for now. Oh, how lovely. Just listen. Can you hear that, Kirst? It's the first jackal I've heard in years here. Come, we're going to find the jackal, see if it's still calling. Can you see it, Sands? That's the first jackal I've heard calling in years and years on Juma. That is so cool. Come on, call again for us. Gee, Sands, well spotted. Excited about that. I have not heard them call since that rabies outbreak, and in fact they weren't very vocal even before then. Lots of you thinking it sounded a little bit like a cat. Fair enough, it did actually rather. Sounded a little bit like a cat. They do, they sing. It's the most beautiful thing when they're calling all together. You will have heard it in the Mara, of course. There was one really stunning sighting where they were all barking together. It's just a sound I absolutely love, and I'm so happy to hear it again. It makes me feel better about the jackal population. In times when I've been sort of quite bleak about it, you hardly ever see them. It's marking territory, moving from grass to blade of grass to blade of grass. Depositing its scent. Could even be looking for a mate, actually. There's such a vacuum in terms of territory. There might not even be a point to defending an area. Might actually be looking for another jackal. There's just so few of them about. Call for us? No, we're going to sleep. Okay, fair enough. I'm going to let Sens move away from the jackal purely because it's a very difficult position that he's in trying to film it. Well done, Sens. Epic. Very, very cool. It was very exciting. I'm very happy, but you know what? That signals actually my cue to start heading. All hippos are starting to get out of the dam, and that actually signals it's time for me to start heading towards the hyena den. I went this morning, and they were not home. They did not want to see me back from leave. Oh, plop. Someone's not ready to get out of the water yet. I don't blame it. There's a cold breeze. I wouldn't be that eager either. Okay, I'm just going to quickly duck out of here and make my way back onto Djuma, go to the hyena den. While I do, let's find out whether or not Rusty's had any luck in his search for Tlalamba.
Well, no luck yet. She disappeared in the grass so quickly. And kind of like done like 2 circles around, but we're like widening the circles, and we have no idea where she's gone. And I'm happy. I'm sure you're all happy that we still saw that moment of her, but it would be nice to catch up a little longer. But it might just be a hint. It's like, okay, I've had enough of you guys. I'm going to disappear. But we can't even find the impala she was stalking. Call us bad trackers, I don't know, call us whatever. We're just not having much luck. And it's just the light and the grass at the moment, she could be lying anywhere. It's just very hard to see. But yeah, we didn't hear a chase, we didn't hear any noise. The other vehicle, I just chatted to them and they said, no, they saw the impala just walk off. Like, okay, did you see a leopard at all? He said, yeah, we saw the leopard briefly, but that was it. But she's around, and that just might be all that we get to see. That was special enough. Yeah, I'm just going to do one more loop around and just see if she shows up. Otherwise, can send up the drone in about half an hour as soon as it gets dark, and maybe we can pick up the thermal body. Sally Jane, she's saying that she's teaching everyone a lesson, like giving us the slip like her mom. Yes, I think she knows how to play that game far too well already. This is not the first time she's given me a slip. And I think she just knows. It's like, okay, there's one too many vehicles, or a vehicle. I'm going to go sort out my meal somewhere else. Who knows? She is very relaxed with us and easy. Very chilled with us. So I can't see her getting too stressed. And we were at a nice distance away and not interfering at all. But like I said, she just can get up and walk in a completely different direction to where we were looking and disappears off into any which direction. I don't know. But leopards will be leopards, and I don't want them any other way. No, I really have no idea where she's gone. But at least that's broken my, what's it called? What's a particular name I'm looking for? Withdrawal symptoms I had earlier about not seeing leopard. It had been almost over 2 weeks without seeing a leopard, and now that's broken. So I cannot be too worried. I've got a smile on my face. That's made my evening, my day. I must admit, it wasn't actually me who found it. It was one of the other guides in the area. He called it in on radio. And I passed him earlier on. We were like, have you seen a leopard? No. Have you seen a leopard? No. Have you seen tracks? No. So it was nice that even 20 minutes later, we get a radio call. We got a leopard. So it's one of the benefits of having other people driving around. Oh, reserve. That looks like the impala that it was stalking. Yes. So we found the impala that the leopard was stalking, that young male there. It looks very healthy and alive, and no leopard in sight, but it does not mean she's not around. It's not phased at all. I just wonder where she went. So yeah. Decisions.
Maybe we should do some loops
Yeah.
around him, because maybe she's still stalking him.
Yeah, just always wonder, like, how long will they be stalking for? How long would a leopard stalk for before it gives up? Oh, what is it looking at? Us or another vehicle that's coming? Nope, not worried. So if anyone spots a leopard while the screen is on, while the camera is on, please point it out or let me know. Let me just reverse and see if I have... Because if she is still stalking her, it will be behind, or at least trying to get around it, try to get into an ambushing position, as leopards do. They do rely a lot on stealth and camouflage to get up close. And if they can't, they'll even go do a wide arc all the way around the animal, like in a completely different direction to where the animal's going, just to get in front of it and organize an ambush like that. It depends how hungry she is and how much patience. And leopards do have a lot of patience. So we've seen that. And they have all night. It's getting to a point where I can't even drive through. So it's very, very difficult. Impalas feeding without any interference, and I cannot see a leopard around here. Well, I think that might have been the closest we get to a hunt this evening. But the evening, look, the day is not done yet, so I'm not going to count my cards. Okay, what's it? Count the chickens before they hatch? It's going to happen. Yeah, I believe you're all convinced that she's here. Or most of you think so. I think she is around here too. Leopards, they could be lying, like I said, meters away and we just don't see them. Especially if she's stalking, because she'll be flat against the ground. Yeah, it was just one lonely young male, and that is definitely the impala that we were looking for. But don't see any leopard in tow. Decisions. I wonder if she might have given up the hunt and kept on going in the direction she was when the other guide found her. Let's do a loop. Another loop around. I mean, this young male impala is ideal because it's on his own. Normally, like we saw the impala earlier, they're normally in herds. It's more eyes and ears to look around. One individual young male impala, perfect size for her, is not, I don't say easy prey, but it's almost the perfect prey for her. Well, let me get back on the road and hopefully we can see if we can find some tracks. So, well, obviously I will look around and see if we can find her. If we do find her, we'll be back. But let's go over to Jamie and see what she's getting up to.
Cool. All right. So while Rusty searches for the lovely Tlalamba, we have found something that's playing very hard to see. We have a dwarf mongoose peeking over the top of a termite mound, looking in our direction. And in fact, the more we sit and the more we watch, the more we see. And there's a whole load of them at the bottom of the termite mound as well. Hello. It's bedtime. Yes, it's bedtime for little mongoose. I wonder if they like winter. Probably not, actually. I mean, to be fair. And I would like winter if I were a dwarf mongoose. It means you get to go to bed earlier and you get to get up later. It means a whole extra few hours night sleep. Because dwarf mongoose will go to bed as soon as the sun goes down. And they will only come out when the sun is up and when it's warm enough. And they'll actually usually spend a little bit of time warming themselves up in the sun before they go about foraging. But it's not fair to say that they must prefer winter because, of course, there's no food, or not as much food as there is during the summer months for fearsome little hunters searching for things like scorpions and all sorts of other insects. Nose going furiously, taking in the last of the evening smells, making sure the termite mound is a good place to... Oh, somebody's reversing. Move. There are two of them. Little buddies. That's one thing I'm quite excited about with winter is it becomes a lot easier to watch dwarf mongoose for extended periods of time because there's less vegetation. The last few weeks I've been trying to get dwarf mongoose on camera, but you have to get lucky. You have to be out playing in the road or doing something like that before you get to see them properly. Here's little ones. Typically, typically I would stay, but I'm starting to wonder about time and hyena dens. Oh no, we've got time. Got time for a little bit longer with the dwarf mongoose, especially because it looks as though they're going to go to bed at any second now. Little pink nose. And they move from termite mound to termite mound, so we actually don't know when last they used this particular burrow. It might have been days ago, it might even have been weeks ago. So it pays to check it out first, because you never know when you're going to encounter a snake. Right, speaking of unexpected surprises, will you believe it? The rain in the Maasai Mara has finally let up. The storm has passed, at least to the point that David can say hello to you once again.
Yes, it's very true. The rains have stopped and we have survived. Both myself and Archie, we are here and very much back in business. It's very funny where we are. This area, to me, it was just spitting and not much rain like where we are. So what we did, it was just to switch off our equipment, and we normally have very expensive equipment with us. We not want it to get hit by, you have the Archie? Not to get hurt by lightning. So, and we braced ourselves under the canvas or the rain covers, and we're just listening to the rains. And look what we found for ourselves. The African Cape buffaloes, and they're trying to investigate how dry or how wet we are. I was talking earlier of how some of the animals, regardless whether it's raining or not, they still continue doing their businesses like elephants. And I said the buffaloes might pause for a couple of minutes, and the rhinos, I know for a fact, do not like the rain. Of course, it's difficult for the buffaloes, say, to run to shelter, but of course, they go in big herds, so they won't get as many trees. And by wanting to keep the same unit, they'll wait until the rain subsides. Rhinos, you'll get one or two or three, so it's easy for them to get the thickets and try to look for some shelter. Just look how they're lined up, and all of them just watching us and finding out what we are made of. It's a whole herd of males and females, and a couple of young ones, like you see that young one there. And you see how different she looks from the adults in terms of color. The wind is still, blowing, but not like before. So I do not think of any rains now until much afterwards, later tonight. Hello, buffaloes. When it gets very windy, the animals I've noticed they're not really concerned or worried or apprehensive of the wind. if we had small little animals here, like antelopes, like impalas, and we should have Jamie Rusty who had impalas, you'd see their body language would be very different. All right, Stampede, time to run. Where are you going? What made you run? Excellent. So just having a good time. Look at the young one there not being left behind. It reminds me of Steve this morning who was out and had buffaloes stampeding and running all over. Yeah, I'm sure Cass is liking this in the final control. This is a very different herd from where Steve had, and this is a smaller herd than what Steve had. His was a much bigger group than what I got here. I think mine could be anything about 30 or so. See the white birds flying in the background? Very good camera work there, Archie. Gutter egrets. This is what makes the African wilderness always so beautiful to be out here every other minute and enjoy as the buffaloes there are ruminating. I'm not sure that these egrets are ready to go home or they want to follow these buffaloes to get to feeding themselves, but I think, let's find out if we're going to land. It's getting late to me. If I'm asked, I'll tell them it's time to go home, go and roost, dry yourselves, and tomorrow is another day. But I think they still want a few more insects. Beautiful job. Good camera work as they land, one after the other. Funny, some land on the ground and some are landing on the bodies of these buffaloes. Not even very impressed by these cattle egrets. I'm not sure why you should keep calling cattle egrets. Maybe you might change that name to buffalo egrets. But of course, they're the same birds you'll see with the cows back in the villages and all over the world, where you see these small white birds. They've got a very special relationship in the sense that as the buffaloes move in the grass there, any insect they disturb will jump up, and that's what they'll feed on. Grumpy animals, as you can see. You don't want to take chances with these animals. But I can tell you, I can take a chance and walk through the herd of these buffaloes if I have to, but not one or two. One or two, because more often than not, they're males. Chances are they are going to hurt you, if not kill you. Minamu, buffaloes, as far as I'm concerned, you're talking about the dominance in the buffaloes. As far as I'm concerned, buffaloes have what we call small democracies. Now, Minamu, you saw when they started running there, they all started running in a particular direction, and it was a small herd, maybe 5 of them that started running. So their understanding is, if 5 of them start moving in a particular direction, all of them will have to follow. It's the kind of democracy they have. Now, if they stop running and another group, maybe the tail group of the same herd, goes the other way, all of them will follow. So that kind of democracy I've always seen with the buffaloes. But apparently, maybe just like the elephants, I think they're always led by one particular female. So this particular herd here, Minamu, my guess is they're being led by one female. But in general, they have small democracies amongst themselves. Beautiful Olololo, different from what we saw earlier because it's getting a little bit colder and dark. And we're losing a bit of light here, but so far all very good and beautiful. So I haven't given up on my search for the sausages. In the meantime, let's go back to Rusty and find out how he's doing with the drone.
The gauge because it is quite thick in there and there is a road going in, but we don't want to jinx it, so we're just going to try find it with the drone. And it has this awesome thermal camera on that picks up the heat. But you know what the heat is? You know, most of the day it's been very warm here, so a lot of the area is pretty warm, but it's cooling down very quickly, and we're hoping that the ground is too. So we are just trying to pick up now. The thermal will it'll reflect heat, not reflect heat, but show heat on any mammal that's out there. And oh, there's us. I don't know if you can see see the vehicle. But she disappeared to the right of us, to the left of us. Oh, where are we looking? That's right, that's left. And she's somewhere here. We know she is. But look, in comparison to other animals around here, she is a very small body compared to the size of, let's say, a nyala, a large nyala male that we saw a few minutes ago. So it's very, very tricky to pick her up, especially. Oh, what do we got? Oh, wait, that's could be. Now we do have movement at the bottom right-hand side of the. Oh, now it's most of the mammals that come up like a very almost brighter, lighter color. And we're just trying to see what it's right in the middle of the screen now. What we're looking at. What's that? Okay. Seb, the pilot, has confirmed that it is impala. So it's not the one we're looking for. Now that's the size of impala. Look how difficult it is just to see that. Oh, there's movement up right, but it's other bigger, and there's two of them right in the middle of the screen now. What is that? That's not leopard. It looks like warthogs. Yeah. So those are warthogs. Warthogs with piglets. Leap of leopards. Now, that is a group of warthogs. Now, why do I not know what a group of warthogs is called? Sounder of warthogs. So now that just shows the sounder. See, I was correct. Yes, so we are not, it's very, very difficult at this time. It's rather like if we, like in the morning, would have been beautiful with the drone. I'm sure those who watched this morning's sunrise safari, that drone, like it was so chilly this morning, so any heat would have bounced right up into the camera of any animal moving around. But being so cold, it also limits movement of a lot of animals. So there's us. Where could she be? Now also termite mounds give off a lot of heat. You can see the one tree on the right there gives off a lot of heat. Now she could just be lying next to that tree, sitting next to that tree, and we cannot see her. It's very, very difficult. But as it cools down, it gets easier, but temperatures aren't dropping that quickly yet. So while we keep searching for Tulamba and hopefully we find her, let's head over to Jamie, who's on the way to the hyenas.
I have very sad news. The hyenas are not home now either. I went this morning, they weren't there. Been back now, they're not there. Obviously, as most of you know, when we go to a hyena den where they're little babies, we don't stay unless the mothers are there, unless there's an adult there, because the cubs tend to get quite distracted by our presence and they often come out to say hello, and obviously that's not something we want to encourage without the supervision and attentiveness of an adult. Just in case there is a male lion or something wandering around, the last thing we want is for a cub to be out and vulnerable. So we don't stick around at the den unless there's an adult, which means we do a loop, come back and hope for the best. Might even bump into Tulamba as we get to Treehouse, you never know. We'll pop round, have a look round. I found male leopard tracks this morning. I suspect Tingana. So there's also the possibility that he might start to get moving around about now at this time of day as well. He loves the Treehouse area. I have news as well from one of the other guides, actually a couple of the other guides. They've all told me on the way to the hyena den that Hukamuri is sitting on a kill in Hoffman's, so just on the southern section of the southern boundary of Djuma, and he has been with Shidulu and her two cubs as well. They've been playing around there, and just so you know, that's where they are, although apparently Shidulu did up and move the cubs a little bit further to the west into Arathusa. And Torchwood Pride seem to be coming north, which is good news for us as well. And that's all the updates I have. No one's seen the Nkuhumas in a while. I don't know where they're hiding. I always feel a little bit out of the loop when I come back from leave. It takes me a while to get back into where the animals are. Oof. Ian, that's a difficult question. Ian wants to know what the longest time is that the Djuma clan have stayed in one den. And I'm saying it's a difficult question, not because it's actually something we wouldn't know the answer to necessarily, at least in the time that I've been here, but because my memory isn't that good. I would say... Oof. Wow, that's actually really tricky. They've stayed at Gallagher Shortcut for quite a long time, but then they moved to Mvubu. I would say no longer than 2 months that I can think of. It's difficult as well because the Philemon's Cutline Den, they were there for quite a long time, but they did move between that den and the Termite Mound just a little bit to the south of it. Kirst is saying 4 months. When did we have a den site that lasted for 4 months? Because I remember, let's say Gallagher Shortcut, I remember November and D1 and D2. Kirst says the Mvubu one felt like a long time. She could, of course, be absolutely right. Oof. So that's a difficult one. I'm happy to open it up to the floor. If you can think of when we've had the longest period with the den in one place, if you could send that through, that would be very helpful. A lot of you have memories that are far better than mine. I'm going very slowly here because I think there's a chance Tingana's heading in this direction. He usually goes western edge of Quarantine and then here, this way. And then the back that way. No, I don't think I can answer that. Honestly, I don't think I can accurately answer. My apologies. I can tell you that North Clan stays in one den for much longer periods of time, but that's about all I can tell you. All right, off you go across to David, who hopefully is more coherent and has better answers to the questions that you ask him.
It's very good to be anywhere or talking of a clan of hyenas, and I'm trying to enjoy myself the sunset of the day, and that is definitely the western horizon with some beautiful elephants in the background, and we got even luckier. 2 lionesses there. How wonderful is that? How cool is that? Just a sunset with elephants, lions, the shepherd trees, the savannah. The wind has gone down. And it was a blessing in disguise for the storm that pushed us out of that particular area where I was looking for the sausages, because this is the Owino pride. All of them are here. The 4 ladies and 1 youngster male, which we think way back it was a split from the sausage tree pride. They have remained very solid together, and I'm trying to look for where Butternut is. Butternut is the lead female in this particular pride, and we think, I'm very happy that everybody's happy to see, I'm glad that everybody's happy to see the lions, and I think she could be the one there. And sadly, as we said the other day, she had 3 cubs that she unfortunately lost. We do not know how or under what circumstances she lost her 3 cubs. But the good news, the last I saw her, she was mating with one of the males of the old Donyo Pike, and hopefully that mating was successful. And I'm looking at the end of June, maybe early July, to start seeing, new cubs, or see her, belly starting to swell. It's one pride I have not seen for a long time. I mean, I thought it'll end up here because there was not much rain here. As I said, it was spitting here, and the grass here is quite short, so it was not much of a problem for me to pick them up in the midst of the burnt area, because the grass is quite green and they stood out clearly and very easily to be picked. So are you trying to have a little scratch or clean your face? How clever, these cats. Now, I cannot see any prey around here, and I would not know what they would go for. The only animal I can see here or prey are the elephants you saw from the background there. But trying to imagine, this burnt grass allows a lot of other types of animals like toppies and zebras to be around here. Still enjoying the beautiful sky there. If anything, unless they go for a baby elephant. That's the only thing I could think of here. I mean, they don't go for an antelope. They don't go for a ground gazelle or a Thompson gazelle. You see that calf there? That could be a possibility. That could be a candidate. When things are very thick, we have seen lions trying to hunt baby elephants, baby rhinos. Easily they hunt baby buffaloes. The other day, we saw a male that was from the Charlie Boys feeding on a baby buffalo. Could be a week ago or so. Beautiful sky. Now that one there is on the move, and she's going to join the rest. Deborah, how are you? And you said this is truly beautiful. Deborah, I agree with you 100%. It could not be better than this, Deborah. I mean, the lighting, the elephants, the lions, the sunset, the savannah, the torchwood trees, you know, few white flowers here and there that we call the tissue paper flowers that will come during the rains. This is just magical. Not sure, Deborah, who else would like to tell me in one word, you know, tweet me, #SafariLive. What do you think of this sighting as the boys waking up now? Little stretch, ready. They look to be very well fed. Looking at the bellies, I mean, they look to be in very good shape. Do you want to play with one of your pride member there? I'm trying to imagine maybe this youngster here is still young, hasn't been kicked out of the pride. Maybe he's still way below 3 years. Now they are on the move. I do not know where they want to go. But ladies and gentlemen, look at the elephants, the lions, the shepherd tree, the beautiful sunset in the background. Please just tweet to me, #SafariLive, of what you think of this very lovely sighting. Flicking the tails. Now the direction they are going into is the Sausage Republic area. And there's a time I remember sometimes end of last year, I saw these two prides about 100 meters apart from each other. And I was like wondering what could happen if the gap continued being smaller. Hello, young man. So this boy here, sometimes I think November last year, I do not know what happened. He left this pride. Poppy, you say it's lovely. Thank you. Great comment there. It's lovely there, Poppy. And especially now when the four of them get together and start playing, and this boy going to join them. And he left the pride. And I think he was trying to go and get himself some pride, you know, a coalition of some sort. But he was not welcome, and he was beaten so badly. And he nursed his wounds for about 2 months. But he seems to have since healed, and he is in a very good shape now. Now, they have moved forward a little bit. Let's just follow them for a few more meters and find out where they want. Joy, Jumbo, how are you doing, Joy? And you say iconic. Thank you very much, Joy. Always very good to hear your name. Lots of pleasure, Joy. Asante sana. So I'm going to give you a different tango, Joy. Please keep telling me what you think of this very lovely sighting of this pride that we call the Owino Pride. It came at the very end of the show. I didn't know I would get them. I was not looking for them, as I said earlier. I was looking for the sausages. And luckily, I found these 5 lions here. They have kept this number for a very long time. I want to stop here because either the young male want to play. to play with this particular female. Let's just watch what he wants to do. He's either trying to hide quietly there. Maybe he just wants to watch her just pass. Yeah, not much happened. He just watched her pass there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to find out where they want to go. There's some thick grasslands on the thicket on the right. Not sure that's where they want to go. But in the meantime, I'll take you back to the guy trying to man the drone, Rusty Injuma.
Still having no luck, but we have found...
We've got 4 interesting animals at Buffelshoek Dam.
We have found quite a few other animals. We found impala, kudu, warthogs, giraffe, but no sign of her yet. We did have more alarm calling of the impala just further south of us, but no sign of her. Now, yeah, so far we've just got a giraffe in the distance. We're just coming back to it because it's quite interesting to look at. But so far, no sign of her. But it is cooling down, and the animal's heat is actually picking it up more clearly in the screen. So it does help a lot. So there we go. You can see that giraffe without a doubt. If anyone has any doubt to what animal that is, please send a message in. That is definitely a giraffe, and I'm going to go for male giraffe since it's on its own. But unless I can see exactly, my money's on male giraffe. So it wasn't too far from here. We heard the alarm calling of the impala and an impala running, but no sign of what was following it or what was in the area. The giraffe had paid no attention to what was happening, and they normally pick up everything, absolutely everything. But look at that. Hey? The sun is set now, and it is getting dark very, very quickly. So this is actually the best way to be able to view animals without us moving around. So it is very cool. Oh, the eagle's eye. So yes, let's hope we pick her up before the show ends. But while we do that, let's go back to David and his lions.
Well, hopefully Talamba will show up at one point, and luckily my lions did not go in the thickets or the bushes or thinking they would. They're still in the grass, but the other side of the road now, where the grass is much higher. Let me first stop here for a couple of minutes as I try and read them and see what they want to do. And as I said earlier, I'll not be surprised if they start planning to go for baby elephant. I highly doubt that would happen. So Luna, very good question. And you're asking how quickly a lioness will go in estrus after losing its cubs. It depends, of course, with the particular lioness in question. But anything 7 to 10 days, Luna, 7 to 10 days, a lioness will be back in estrus and definitely will be ready to mate. And if a male is going to pick her very quickly, they will be in business mating. This is exactly what we think could have happened to Butternut. The lead female in this particular pride is called Butternut, and my friend Isaac saw her, I would guess, 2 months ago with 3 cubs. I mean, it was very exciting because we haven't seen any cubs in this particular pride. It was the very first time. We didn't see her mating before. We didn't know when she gave birth, but Isaac was lucky to have spotted that. And it was not for long. The joy did not last long before we saw her mating, which unfortunately indicated that she had lost the cubs. Now, there was another time, I would say now going to a month plus now, when Patrick saw 2 prides fighting, and one of the prides was the Oral Pride, and the other one was the River Pride, and there were 2 cubs that died, and if those both cubs belonged to one particular female, I'm assuming she was definitely in estrus a week later or so, or 10 days later, and she was able to mate, and hopefully she conceived. Now they're getting in the long grass, so I need to also go around again and find a place where I can cross to the other side of the road before they disappear. So you just have to watch for some rocks here and some big boulders. And also don't want to lose their sight. So let me see whether I can get a place to cross. I can see one. Why don't we first go back to Jamie and then we'll find out where they will be.
Okay, well, David figures out the logistics of crossing the Lugger. Another something that I was very familiar with. In fact, I spoke about it a lot in the Mara, the lions and the Lugger. I was always on the wrong side. No matter what I did, I was always on the wrong side. Remember that sense? Somehow, the lions would be going in one direction and I'd cross the Lugger and they'd be on the other side. Invariably. So I know all about that and finding places to cross Luggers, especially when I first got there and I didn't know where I was. Yes. I remember Earth Live vividly too. In fact, that was the beginnings of the lion and the Lugger. And there was that amazing hunt that we were busy following the lionesses and they killed a zebra, but we were on the wrong side of the Lugger. Steph managed. Fortunately, Steph was out that night. So he ended up on the right side of the Lugger. But I think Liam was quite upset with me that I wasn't on the right side of the Lugger. He missed the takedown. He was very unimpressed, actually. He was trying to pretend he wasn't, but Liam's disapproval radiates off him. It does sound like it should be a book. The Lions and the Lugger. Look, there's a kudu. Oh, yes, we better switch to infrared in order to be able to see it. There we go. Dung. There we go. There's a beautiful kudu bull. The second one I've seen today. I've seen more kudu bulls than I have leopards. Oh, now I hear the hyena. They've been hanging out at Hukamuri's kill, or around there, because that's exactly where they're calling from. Those massive ears presumably can hear far better than my puny human hearing. Ah, apparently I apologize. Lots of you asking what a lugger is. Sorry, I didn't think to explain that. A lugger is a deep ditch where water has flowed through it, so it's basically like a little mini drainage line or a river, little mini river, where water has created these, we would call it a drainage line, but in Kenya it's called a lugger, and actually it's a much better word. The lions and the lugger. And there goes our beautiful kudu bull, taking his spiral horns and departing. I have no idea what that name is. I have absolutely no idea, but yes, I take your point. Jamie Memory Lane Patterson. Yes, I haven't seen very much on this drive, so we've gone with Memory Lane. Oh, guitar sax. Okay, there we go. Guitar sax is Jamie it's actually quite hard to say. Jamie Memory Lane Patterson. Yes, we've done a lot of trips down Memory Lane today. Kirsten doesn't want to hear any more of what I have to say. She's tired of Memory Lane. She's going to go across to David, who is much more in the present.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have still following my lions. All of them, finally, I got 4 of the Owinos together. It's 3 females and the 1 youngster. I don't know where the other female is. And I'm very suspicious. These lions are really sneaky because I do not know exactly what they want to do. Because what would happen is there are some elephants on the side and they have a very young calf. It's not unusual. I have seen them do it, but it's not a very easy thing as they may think. They're walking in the grass and they want to go on top of Termite Mountain. Not that the elephants can't see them. We just move forward a little bit. And there's a lot of courage from these lions should they do what I'm trying to think they'll do. But there's a time, actually let me know when you're happy. The times, keep going. Okay, the times we saw a big drama of the same pride trying to get a baby rhino. That was sometimes late last year. And there were elephants around. So it was like a little battle between lions, rhinos, and elephants. And luckily, the rhinos came up winning. There were two rhinos and a calf, and about 10 elephants or so, and this particular pride. And the two rhinos came in winning. The lions left the stage first, and then it was left between the elephants and the rhinos. The two rhinos, won, and were able to push everybody out. And it was quite exciting, eh? Now, that's the youngster in this particular pride of the Oinos. I'm not sure what they're thinking. The elephants are barely, I would say, 30 meters away from where we are, and not sure what he's thinking. He is taking the charge of leading this particular pride, and he's the one looking towards the elephants. Well, it could be very exciting to see should anything happen here. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time to really thank you so very much for having been with us this afternoon. And I'm sure tomorrow morning we'll be out again here about 5 o'clock Central African time. And of course, 6 o'clock East African time. Let's have a quick look on these lines because we've got two now that have come up. And both of them are looking at the Ellis. What a great way to end the drive this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And on behalf of all my colleagues, Rusty, Jamie, myself, and the camera operators that have been able to bring you these very wonderful images, not forgetting the rains we went through. See you tomorrow morning, everybody. Thank you again and again. And from all of us, goodbye.